The Smith & Wesson Model 1854 in 4570. Let's check it out. Guys, when Smith & Wesson introduced their lever action rifle, the Model 1854, there was nobody more surprised than I was. I mean, Smith & Wesson's known for their revolvers. They're known for their M&P series, their semi-automatics, and also for their M&P 15s. But when they came in with the lever action, it was a little known patent that Smith & Wesson owned, and they decided to act on it mainly because there's a big resurgence in lever action rifles. Now, lever action rifles have been around since the Old West, and it was part of the Western expansion, but also it's been a staple for hunters for generations. They're light, they're handy, they're easy to maneuver, and you can go from a .22 long rifle up to .45-70 and beyond. So it gives you a lot of capability. With the Smith & Wesson Model 1854, there's a number of different models. This one is kind of what I call the in-between. It has synthetic stocks, all stainless, but it has M-lok capability. It has a picatinny rail, ghost ring sights. I mean, this thing is decked out. But you can go with a Stealth Hunter that goes even farther in that tactical world. Or you can go right back to the walnut stocks in the blued finish of the original. Now, it started out in .357 Magnum, then they added .44 Magnum and .45 Colt. But now we're getting to the big bore. And .45-70 is just known as a very powerful round, and yet you can dial it down some for those lesser loads to make it more enjoyable to shoot at the range. So it gives you a lot of versatility, and you've got that Smith & Wesson quality. So we want to give a big thank you to Smith & Wesson for sending the Model 1854 in .45-70 for this review, and they're going to let me keep this one and add it to my collection, and it's just great to have that .45-70. I mean, in Jurassic Park, it took out a T-Rex, so I think it can handle about anything you need. But regardless of how generous Smith & Wesson is, we're going to give this a fair review. The Smith & Wesson Model 1854, the lever action rifle. Guys, they're bringing in a number of different models and calibers. Now we're seeing the .45-70, which I am very excited about. I love .45-70. It's just a big legendary caliber. But the 1854 really never took off, and Smith & Wesson bought the Volcanic Lever Action Rifle Company. There were about 200 prototypes made, and then nothing was ever done. They did make a Volcanic pistol, and for a few years that ran, but it also just kind of went into obscurity. All of a sudden, Smith & Wesson's back, and one of the reasons is because lever action rifles have become extremely popular again. I mean, people are buying them. There's a lot of reasons. One is they're taking them and they're tacking them out. Here we have the Stealth Hunter. I mean, this thing has M-lok rails, has an extended Picatinny rail. It's just a beautiful, very stealth type looking rifle. So there's just a big interest again, and plus with cowboy action and a number of other things, lever actions, while they have never left the scene and they have been popular, really now they're becoming even more popular. Now this is the stainless steel model with the composite stocks. They also make a blued model with wood stocks. I'm not sure yet if the .45-70 is in the Stealth Hunter, but I'm sure that it'll probably be coming. The one thing about a lever action rifle is they're fast, they're balanced, they're very quick to get on target, and honestly, again, just the legendary lore of a lever action rifle makes it very appealing. Now, first thing let's do is make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to open it up, look down the chamber, and it's empty. And one thing I will mention is how smooth the action is. I mean, Smith & Wesson does a great job with their firearms, and this is definitely just part of what Smith & Wesson does. Now with the stainless steel model, it's kind of the middle. This gives you some tactical features, some modern features to it, and yet it still holds that exact traditional look. Yes, it's stainless steel, it has composite stocks, but it has some features that really make this a very usable rifle. I don't have one of the blued models with the walnut stocks, but that gets more just towards your basic traditional rifle. Still, there are some upgrades to it that make it a really excellent gun. And of course, the Stealth Hunter definitely brings it up a notch. Now, it comes in a number of different calibers. Of course, 45-70 is what we're looking at today, but also 45 Colt, 44 Magnum, and 357 Magnum. So starting out with the receiver, of course you can see that it is stainless steel, it's 416 and it is a forged receiver. It has a satin finish to it, has your side loading gate which is traditional, and we have a cross bolt safety, so this is going to make it safe in the field. Now we have the large loop lever, which is very good for gloved hands, but also it just gives you more leverage when you're racking in your different rounds. And with 45-70, because it's so long, this just gives you a little added leverage to be able to get those rounds in smoothly. Also, you'll notice that we do have a flat face trigger. We're going to look at that in detail. And with the rifle, you do get a hammer extension, especially if you're running optics. But even if you're not, this makes it really easy to grab, especially if you need to get off a quick shot. We have a 5.5-inch picatinny rail, but nestled into the pick rail is a ghost ring, which is from Excess Sights. Now the barrel is drilled and tapped here with a set screw, and I believe this is for an extended picatinny rail if you want to go with the same length as the Stealth Hunter. And here at the front we have a post with a gold bead. The barrel is crowned, but also it's threaded, and we have 11/16 by 24 threads. And so this is going to allow for, obviously, suppressors, which has become extremely popular, but also for muzzle devices. When you get into 45-70, it can pack a really massive punch according to the loads. Now, you can dial that down to something that's really soft, and to be honest, when we were shooting it at the range, we were using some Fiocchi, just cowboy loads. But this can really pack a punch. We have a tubular magazine that's capped off. And we have a 20-inch stainless steel barrel. And engraved on the barrel, Smith & Wesson, Springfield, Massachusetts. Here on the other side, model 1854, 45-70. It weighs about 7¼ pounds. It's 37.5 inches in length. And the capacity is 6 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber, so you have 6 + 1 of 45-70. Now, if you've seen Jurassic Park, this is the caliber they were using against those T-Rex. We have M-lok sections in the handguard, and it's 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. I mean, this is great for lights, great for bipods, whatever you want to put on it, but it just really minimalizes it where I use M-lok. So it really doesn't take away from the look itself. And also, we have a stainless steel cap on the end of the handguard with a section to be able to put a sling swivel. The handguard is fairly thin, but it has 2 sections here that are very well textured. The buttstock has a nice pistol grip. Again, those textured panels all the way down. And then we have the comb come up and we have a rubber butt pad. And this is going to be very much appreciated, especially with some of those really hot loads. And a synthetic stock. With the stainless, this is going to make this very weather resistant. And we have a sling stud at the back. Smith & Wesson logo at the bottom of the pistol grip. And Smith & Wesson logo on the butt pad. Now we have a flat face trigger. We have a little bit of wiggle room right here to the take up, and then just a touch of creep and then a really nice break. Bring that hammer back to half cock or all the way back. And again, a nice trigger pull. Let's check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge and Brownells. 4 pounds. 4 pounds, 0.06 ounces. Well, big thanks to Fiocchi for sponsoring our ammunition, especially 45-70. These are not super power rounds. They really kind of give you a good thump, but there is some higher caliber ammunition out there. I mean, 45-70 is so versatile. And of course, obviously this loading gate is long and really easy. I mean, Smith & Wesson on their 1854 series has just done a fantastic job. We've Guys, when Smith & Wesson first introduced their Model 1854, I was very surprised. Smith & Wesson is known for its revolvers, for its semi-automatics, even their M&P 15s. The lever action was really a shock, but they have really put together some very high quality lever action rifles. And it's great to see from 357 Magnum and 44 Magnum to 4570. So this gives us a big bore caliber. This one has the pick rail already installed. You have M-lok slots at the top. We've got a mini Trigicon on here, and of course it has that stainless steel finish, so it's weather impervious. But in 4570, we're shooting some cowboy loads from Fiocchi, but I mean, this will handle some really heavy loads. So if you see a little smoke, that's part of it. But very smooth action. Six rounds of 45-70. I mean, that's a nice little capacity. But again, super smooth. This can handle some of your higher loads. I mean, this is going to be something that you definitely would be a great hunting option and could pretty much take any game in North America. Also, it does have a threaded barrel. The sights at the front, it's a gold bead, and an aperture sight at the back. Very well thought out. It's great to see lever actions coming back and making a big comeback. And I'll tell you, Smith & Wesson with the 1854, it's just a great option. And again, it gives us more choices.
All 5 shots in that hole.
Well, guys, when you're adding an optic to your rifle, you got to sight it in. It takes time, it takes ammunition. The best way we found is using a laser bore sighter, and we like the Sightright 2.0 by Tactical Elites. Comes with a number of collets. Just go ahead and attach it to the bore sighter. Slip it down into your bore, and you want a good tight fit. Then turn on your laser. Just take your turrets and line the reticle up with your laser. Go to tacticalelites.com, Sightright 2.0. All right, guys, we're going to talk about cleaning your rifle, and we're going to do a little bit of disassembly. But before we get started, go ahead and lift our lever down, and we have an empty chamber. One of the things about a lever action rifle is cleaning it from the chamber forward. And just opening it up, you can't get a steel rod down there. One of the best options is some of your bore snakes. And this is the Lotus Ripcord. This is an excellent choice. And that way you can run it from the chamber and go down to the bore of the rifle. But to be honest, it's not that difficult to remove the bolt. And we're going to go through that so you can clean your rifle from the back. So the first thing you want to do is remove your lever. And right here is a small screw. It is in Torx. In fact, this is the TP15 size. And so we're just going to remove our bolt right here. Once it gets past the threads on the other side, typically you can just pull the bolt right out. And there is Loctite to hold that in place. Next, you want to go ahead and take your lever and just pull it down. And you'll need to kind of pull it down a little bit and then pull it back. Just like that. Now this is resting inside a slot in your bolt. So once you get it past that, it'll pull right out. With this, just kind of keep it clean. A little bit of lubrication goes a long way in just some of the high stress points. Now you got to make sure your hammer's in the rear position, and then just take your bolt and just push it out. And really holding down your hammer, you can just pull the bolt right out. It comes very simply, and it's just a round bolt. Right here is the slot that fits for your lever, so you're going to want to remember that. Now down in the ejection port, you'll see that little spring, and that is your ejector. And it's actually just pressure fit with that little hole right there. And as you can see, this will fall right out. So you want to go ahead and remove this, or it'll fall out and you won't realize it. And guys, that is all the disassembly that's required. Now you can actually run a cleaning rod through the back here of the receiver, and you can keep this rifle clean. And again, it's really simple. Just remove it, one screw, and then you can just pull your bolt out. On the ejector, you have this little nub, and again, it fits against the wall on the other side of the receiver. There is a small slot where it'll guide you right into it. Now once you find that slot, you want to just take your finger and put on it and then turn it over to make sure that that little black mark is coming out. That is your ejector. Next, take your bolt and just put it down in. Put a little pressure on the hammer as you're bringing it forward, just like this, and then just push it into place. Now we're going to take our lever, and remember, you need to get this into the bolt just at that little slot. So as you're bringing it down, you're going to have a hard time bypassing your trigger, but there's a little detent. So you can either push that and get it in there like this. Once you get this, if you start moving your bolt back and forth, you're in the right spot. So we're going to go ahead and line this up. We're going to return our bolt. Just get it screwed right in. Go ahead and make sure everything's working well. And we're back in business. Guys, I'm a big fan of Otis technology with the ripcord and with even their steel rods. I like to have that. And then of course all your accessories. There's a number of different type kits. This is just a small field kit. They also own Shooter's Choice for their CLP, bore solvent, a lot of things, different brushes and tools. And they are suppliers to the U.S. military, so that really means quality. And we want to give a big thank you to Otis for being one of our sponsors. Guys, the price, MSRP, is $13.99. Typically with market price, you can find it less in your local gun shop. And there's also the walnut with the blue and with the Stealth Hunter model as well. What are some pros and cons? First off, it is a very smooth action. This model in particular has a lot of different features to it, including the picatinny rail, the XS ghost ring sights with the front post bead, also M-lok compatible, synthetic stocks, large loop, flat face trigger, and it does have a threaded barrel. It's in 4570, so it gives you a lot of versatility. And guys, you can shoot the lighter loads. It's not just those really hot loads, but man, you can really dial this up to be a very effective big game hunting rifle. It's balanced, it's easy to handle. What are some cons? It's a lever action rifle. It's top quality, but maybe, you know, you want semi-automatic. But otherwise, there's not really any cons. It's an extremely well-made lever action rifle. And the quality, I mean, you have your Henrys, you have your Marlins now that are really putting out some great rifles. It just gives us more options. But it's great to see Smith & Wesson revive the original 1854 patent and start to deliver these rifles because, guys, they are extremely popular. So guys, the Smith & Wesson Model 1854 in 4570. It really packs a punch, and yet again, you can dial it down. It's just one of those rounds that's been around for over 100 years, and it's still as viable today as it was back then. It's really great to see Smith & Wesson jumping into that lever action market and giving us a really good quality lever action rifle. And again, a huge thank you to Smith & Wesson for sending the Model 1854 in 4570 for this review. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. And again, a thin static. In 44, 44, 44, 44, they ain't even 44, it's 45. Africa, they've taken FLOs, they've taken design something and something and something and something. Has been one of the most popular hunting rifles in history. It's not in history, maybe in the world history, not American history. Swiss and Messon, the Swiss and Messon, good Lord.